the last video in the essay structure series, and this one will be about conclusions. Conclusion is the closing statement of your essay. This is where you summarize or restate your main ideas. It works like an introduction in reverse. You will state your main ideas, maybe even in reverse order of the body paragraphs, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And your thesis will appear here again, but usually word it differently. You can change the way you write your thesis, say it in a new way instead of copying it from your introduction. So don't just verbatim copy the exact same thesis statement out of your introduction. Just rewrite it a little bit so it sounds a little bit better. How do you begin to end your essay? You can look over your whole essay, including the introduction, to remember what you wrote. Next, have a look at the last body paragraph. How did it end? You should try to make a nice, smooth transition to your conclusion. Here's the sample final body paragraph from the example essay on school uniforms that has appeared throughout this whole series. Uniforms sometimes are made of rather uncomfortable fabrics. Of course, they are meant to be durable. Of course, these clothes are going to be laundered frequently, and small kids, in elementary school especially, can be hard on their clothes. But strong synthetics, although possibly more cost-effective, are too hot and uncomfortable to wear all day long. No one wants to sit in a classroom for 9 hours feeling sweaty and uncomfortable. And no matter what, some clothes just never fit right if a person does not have a standard body type. That can lead to all kinds of issues for teens with changing bodies, issues that no teenager needs to have amplified by an uncomfortable, poorly fitting uniform. The last sentence highlighted in pink on the previous slide in here says, that can lead to all kinds of issues for teens with changing bodies, issues that no teenager needs to have amplified by an uncomfortable, poorly fitting uniform. Here's where you try to make a smooth transition to your conclusion. So the previous sentence talks about being uncomfortable, so you might as well talk about being uncomfortable in your first sentence of the conclusion. Then it covers one of your topics anyway. Discomfort is something that no teen wants to live with day in, day out, and whether it is the physical awkwardness from the styles and fabrics of the uniforms at school or the psychological discomfort of being forced to conform to look like everyone else in a peer group. There, you're touching on a couple of different ideas that relate to the previous parts of your essays. The psychological discomfort, that connects back to identity, which is one of the subjects the essay talked about. And that leads to the next sentence as well. Teenagers want to have the freedom to figure out who they really are, and wearing uniforms does not help them form an individual identity. This restriction on creativity and expression can be just as costly as the money it takes to be able to buy school uniforms, which are often just as, if not more costly than a regular wardrobe. So that touches, again, on the next topic that you wrote about in your essay, which is the economic costs. And these are in reverse order than what they appeared in your essay, but they link together very well here. So the order can change. Then the last sentence is, or the last couple of sentences are like this. These are the main issues that make school uniforms create a number of problems that outweigh the ones they seem to solve. That is actually your thesis statement restated. And then there's one sentence after that just to close everything up. Freedom of choice for clothes in school is a much better option for teens who want to feel comfortable in their own skins. So the words uncomfortable and discomfort in the last sentence of the body paragraph and the first sentence of the conclusion sew those two paragraphs together with a smooth transition. There's a connection of ideas. All of the main ideas are then restated in the conclusion, including comfort, identity and individuality, and costs. The reworded thesis statement appears like this. These are the main issues that make school uniforms create a number of problems that outweigh the ones they seem to solve. That's just a very close rewording of your original thesis statement. With a slight variation, it makes it less repetitive and it makes you look like a slightly better writer. So just after the thesis, you will see a final sentence. Freedom of choice for clothes in school is a much better option for teens who want to feel comfortable in their own skins. This sentence serves as a kind of reverse hook. In the introduction, you have a hook, an opening statement before anything else in your introduction, and you want to get the reader's attention with that. For this one, you kind of want to close the discussion. You want to gently lead the reader out of your essay. So you don't necessarily want to stop abruptly on your thesis. You just want to have a nice smooth exit, and a closing statement will do that. And that's it. That's all there is to making conclusions. If you already have a good essay, this part almost writes itself. It's quite easy, but it's very important, and don't forget to do it. I've seen students hand essays in with almost no conclusions, and it's very abrupt and weird. So you want to have that nice restatement of your whole argument, just to make it very smooth and to show that you are certain of what you're talking about. It makes for a much, much stronger essay.